Welcome to Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Tottenham. Today we are looking at Tottenham's record over the last couple of matches. We lost to Chelsea, lost to Wolves, and you got them on the slide, or is this just a little blip on the road? So we've titled today's episode as Angeball, to doubt or to dare. To join me to break that down on the other side is Chuma. In the meantime, come on you Spurs. Welcome back. This is Come On You Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Tottenham. Chuma, welcome. How are you?
Oh, fabulously awesome. That's how it's really fabulously awesome. Still very much in love with Angeball. I have never seen a coach uh, or a manager that actually lives up to our nice little motto: "To dare is to do." So I am part of Team Angeball Daring, 1000%. But yeah,
So there's no
but before
doubting.
we
There's
start,
no doubting handball in your book, right?
oh no. I'm actually probably more a convert now than I was at the beginning, because it's only when you see the failure that I think you can compare to see how far you've risen, or what you've risen from is the first blip in the road. You now realize, okay, are we this good? Are we that bad? So, but before we begin, as always, just some housekeeping. For those of you viewing for the first time, welcome to Common Use Spurs TV. Would like to ask a little favor. If you could please smash the like button, subscribe, also click on the notification bell, let you know when we put out content, and also we should be talking about, or any interesting topic you'd like to hear us discuss on the show. And as always, it's Common Use Spurs.
Thanks for that, Chuma. Thank you for that. I think the last week has been a really difficult one for us if you're a Spurs fan. To give you a bit of context, I mean, unless you've been under a rock, you probably know that Tottenham were top of the league for quite a while after the last international break, and we got dropped down by Chelsea in one of the most bizarre matches you ever come across. We're down to 9 men and ended up losing the match 4-1. The scoreline doesn't actually tell the whole story of the match, because the match was probably one of your epics, if you like, in terms of Ange's tactics and the way we played against 11 men with a 9-man team. And to talk us through that 9-man, because we had plenty of debate after the match and post-match. We had plenty of critics. You have pundits telling you that he should never have played 9 men or on the halfway line. Others are saying he should have had a low block. Someone should have said had a mid block. And someone said he should have just sat back and not give Chelsea any chance to attack. Because Chelsea have this record against teams with low block, and they would definitely have difficulty breaking down teams who operate with a low block. Now, in theory, that sounds all good and all fantastic, but of course, we all know the circumstances of that we're going to break it down for us in a minute, but just give it a go. Let's hear what you have to say for that.
Well, it was Battle of the Bridge Part Two, the Hotspur Stadium remix. That's what I'd call it. Because for the first 15 to 20 minutes, Tottenham were absolutely purring. It was beautiful back to front football. Brennan Johnson was rinsing Reece James on that left hand side for Spurs, Chelsea's right hand side. Were connecting, but you could see the rashness. You could see like the players were overhyped for it and they lost their discipline. Romero, Udogi, oh my goodness! And once the mist descended, it was no pulling back. And I don't 10 men Least of all 9. But in doing so, we found out we found out that I think a lot of people thought Ange Postecoglou, as we call him, Ange Yanakoglu, he yans too much, he talks too much, Nigerian slang, yanning, he yans too much and all that. So people were probably thinking that a lot of his words were empty, like he doesn't really mean what he says when he says, I came here to attack, and attack is the only way Tottenham's going to win. When he said that, everyone thought he was joking. When he says, like, I stick to, and if plan A isn't working, we try and make plan A work rather than go to plan B. And everyone thought this was just
Crazy.
same old, same old. No one really believed it. But he came out and with 10 men, he was still attacking. With 9 men, he was still attacking. The high line, as everyone calls it, the high line, the suicidal high line for Jan Vertonghen, a man who has played in many a high line, to say, I have never seen a high line like that in my life. It says something. And he didn't just do it to prove a point. He did it because that is the foundation of his football tactic. I press the opposition, I squeeze them, I collect the ball, and I'm going for them. I'm going for their throat. Now, it's the equivalent of a man or a woman coming into a room, like let's say an assassin, and the assassin has a gun, has a knife, and you dispossess the assassin of the gun, dispossess it. The assassin is still trying to kill you. They are still trying to kill you with whatever they have in their hand. And that's exactly what he got. Spurs are like, even with 9 guys, and even if these 9 guys don't fit an attacking profile, I am attacking you. And let's be real. For damn near 90 minutes, it worked. Because Chelsea were quite, what's the word to use? Profligate. They kept missing chances even when they got it. But they were also surprised to create chances. They found it hard. And Spurs were still coming for them. And Spurs were 2 goals away from Bentancur and Sonny from actually scoring goals. Now people say yes, but they didn't score. The
And
result
Dyer.
and Dyer as well. The offside that we later find out came off a Chelsea head before him. So that means it shouldn't have.
There you go.
But
and we should have had a replay for that one, shouldn't we?
In keeping with the spirit of replays. But there were so many things there. One was the seat, and
and also the sun goal should have stood because some AI thing said the lines were not accurate.
It's just what happened at the end of the game was, yes, Spurs lost the game, and everyone is looking for 3 points, and Chelsea was a huge scalp. It was at home, but it was to me. I always say that there's a physical side to everything, and there's a spiritual side, the spiritual soul or mindset. Physically, we lost the battle in terms of, you look at the scoreline at the end of the day, it was 4-1, such an undeserved scoreline. Vicario was excellent. My God, Venom he was everything. He was a sweeper, keeper, all the things that we bought him for that people felt, forgetting the scoreline, I felt Daniel Levy and the recruitment staff were vindicated on Vicario, because we are now seeing David Raya in the team down the road, and he's not as perfect as everyone thought he was. Robert Sanchez at Chelsea, we played against, he's not as good. Vicario is a gem, a very humble, down-to-earth young man who is so professional, his movement, everything was excellent. He did everything you'd expect from a sweeper, keeper, and more. But it was just, the scoreline, but it's kind of like the spiritual victory you walk away with. And Postecoglou walked away saying, these guys have followed my methods to the letter. I am, is that saying in the Bible, like, this is my son in whom I am well pleased. And it was like, Andrew was like, this is my Spurs in whom I am well pleased. I don't care. And he got his sort of, like, I would say, semi vindication later on in the week when certain teams went down to 10 men and they decided to and they ended up losing, and they ended up conceding 4 goals as well. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So why don't you go for it? Why don't you dare, as opposed to doubt? Dare to score another goal, dare to play a high line, dare to still attack. And that to me was what it was. It was a brilliant game.
Yeah, but the other thing about that game, which a lot of people maybe did not put a lot of attention to, was the fact that we lost Romero, who's a defender. we lost what's his name, Udogie, who's also a defender. We also then lost Van der Ven. Another of a top. So the what you might call the core of our defense, and of course the only person left in that back four was Pedro Porro. It meant having Dyer come in and Højbjerg playing in the centre back position, which he wasn't normally used to. So in a sense, some might say that look, that's why you need a squad, and that's what the squad does. But no squad loses its core defense line without going through some sort of challenge to try and mitigate that. And you lost that in a key part of a major game against a major rival. So that for me was a big thing. But no team will lose players caliber of Van der Van, Romero, lose Udogie. Who have done really, really well this season. And you've had of that back four only Pedro Porro remaining, and you had to make substitutions with Dyer who hadn't played a game all season, and we had to bring on Davies wasn't available because he was injured. We had to bring on Højbjerg to play in the back four, So it was a really, really tough thing to deal with, So, but through it all, I just found Ange's demeanor and composure so heartening, because he didn't lose his cool, he didn't lose his calm, he didn't gesticulate or lose his marbles. He just sort of calmly, conducted himself in a way that even brought more assurance to the team, the way they sort of kept playing, and of course that high line in quotes. Now, we've had, like I said, we had this debate about hardline. You sort of mentioned, like you rightly said as well, But for me, the most important thing is that we almost even won it in the end, because there are plenty of ifs and buts, but at the same time, you can see that we did create opportunities to score. We created, despite being despite being 2 men down, late in the game, and with Chelsea that had very, very quick front men, we still put them to a lot of tests. So it wasn't an easy ride for them at all. So the scoreline did not in any way, shape, or form justify
them. If you would have felt
now,
that, oh my God,
what do you say to those who say that maybe we should have played a low block because Chelsea struggle against people that play with a low block? What would you say to that?
Well, you can see it right now that I think Chelsea have this. Chelsea actually have creativity. They have that player called Palmer, who I really, really like. Cole Palmer, he can fit into any of the top 6 sides. He's a very, very intelligent boy, and they were coming. Chelsea were coming. It wasn't a case of, and we've seen it now with the next game they played against Manchester City. So yes, their striker, Nicholas Jackson, was quite wasteful. But they play against low block teams. It's harder for them. That was true before. That wasn't that you have no idea if it will work or if it won't work. But for me, on a personal level, as a Spurs fan, what all I asked for last season, you remember what I said last season? I said that I personally believe attacking football works and attacking football wins. And if you can find a way to attack, you will win. Now look at the teams who are winning all the silverware. They are all attacking teams. They are not defensive. But the accusation on Ange is that he was naive. There comes a time to attack and there's a time to, defend. And I'm like, no, no, no. The guy came in with his CV that said, I attack all the time. What if you're a man down, I attack all the time? What if 2 men are, I attack all the time? And you have to take your hat out to someone who is, they've compared him to Bielsa, and that's madness. And that's what kind of nonsense Bielsa will do. And Bielsa got tonked a lot of goals. Yes, but he's not Bielsa in the sense that I honestly believe this guy in his mind believes that even if he's down to, like you said, if I'm down to 5 men, I will give it a go. And a lot of people are like, but the same pundits who were sort of slating him that weekend, by this last weekend, we're going, well, maybe this guy has a point here, because if you stay low block, you're actually inviting pressure on yourself. If you're defending on your block, which we as Spurs fans, we all know this from last year, it's just amazing how the short memories football fans have. Last year, we were complaining that, oh my God, why do we have to stay in our box? And why are we counter attacking? And ga. Now the same set of people are saying, why are we attacking too much? I mean, you can't please anyone or everyone at the same time. And I prefer him. His method has gotten us like what? How many wins out of 12 games? Where we are sitting now, nobody expected. We don't have the depth of squad because he's just got here, and he's trying to build something. And it's interesting, like you're comparing him to people who have been in the Premier League since 2016, 2017, someone who has been here since 2019, and you're comparing his football, which means you rate him as much as those guys. So you can't have it both ways. He's building, and the more we add to our squad, the more the players become used to his methods and they get game time. This was why I felt the League Cup exit was such a poor thing, because we would have seen Lo Celso, we would have seen Davies, we would have seen Dyer, all these people. Some of them say, well, they should have been kicked out the club. But if you kick them out of the club, where will you get the players to buy? Say, oh, we do have money. We don't know about the financial situation, but the man was happy to keep them because these guys are very good professional players and he doesn't need superstars. I honestly believe that Ange does not need superstars. So we'll wait and see.
Exactly. So that was beautiful, well done. And then we just kind of, I don't know, we didn't lose the plot. We had a chance to go 2-0 up, and that didn't go in. And somehow or another, I mean, Wolves got into the game and they pressed and they really had, I mean, for us, which was a totally different kind of match that we played in that match, because if you think about it, right, most of Ange's matches, or the matches that we played under Ange, we've had several attempts on goal, and we always tended to keep the other side at bay. But this time around, we just didn't seem to have that rhythm. That rhythm didn't flow. Now, some people say maybe it was because of the midfield, and we had to bring in a few instead of new players who perhaps may not have been worked together for that length of time, and you didn't have the same sort of cohesion, rhythm, and confidence that you have with the what you might call the regular starting lineup. But this is why it's a squad game, isn't it? Because on the one hand, people will say that people like Dyer, Davis, and even maybe Højbjerg as well, they didn't have a lot of match time, and you had Emerson Royal playing on the left wing as a fullback. Again, maybe that sort of altered the balance of the side in that match. But overall, we still played 90 minutes. Was it a question of them losing concentration in the dying minutes, or it was just an approach to the game that we just couldn't get it over the line, which is unusual, considering that, on the one hand, some people say that, it was poor game management from Ange's perspective, because we should have continued to play possession football towards the end and not give the ball away to Wolves, because if they don't have the ball and they can't attack. But if we kept possession, that may have obviously played out in our favor. That meant keeping possession for 6 minutes or 8 minutes, however long that would be over the course of the match. And how matches are. They always come in spells, don't they? And at some point you're going to have to give up possession. And credit to Wolves, though. They scored a really, really good goal. Their first goal from Sarabia goal was actually absolutely fantastic, well-taken goal. Very difficult to defend against that sort of situation from moments of brilliance. So I guess most matches, when you sort of look it over from a, what you might call, non-biased or neutral perspective, you would see that games turn on either a great skill from a team, an error from the other side, or a combination of both. And in this case, I didn't see any error that led to to the first goal, for instance. Okay, from our perspective, maybe Dyer should have been, or one of them should have been a lot more awake to the threat before it became a threat. But again, these things happen in matches. Now, does that mean that second string or second set of players, if you like, but people who don't normally start, cannot do a job for us? Or do we need to sort of take a look back and say, okay, fine, it was one hiccup on the way, and something that we sort of work on and improve on for the next match, because next match is against Aston Villa. Now, Villa are a team in form, and they've been very, very good this season. But Wolves haven't been that bad either. They've won some really good matches as well. They've lost some matches which, unfortunately, they should have won in some cases. If you like, if you remember the match they played against Man United away, even though Man U won that match, I mean, everyone thought that a lot of decisions went against Wolves, and that match should have gone their way, but they ended up losing. But that's football for you. So, what do you think, Chuma?
Well, I concur everything you're saying. The Sarabia goal is one of those ones that when you watch it, you're like, oh god, like that's a goal that changes things. It's one of those goals, and we've considered a fair few. We've also scored a few of them as well. But unless I'm mistaken, I think Wolves beat Man City as well. I'm not
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not equating Spurs to Man City, but I'm just saying that this tells you how, like, there's a part that looks down on the performance of Tottenham, and there's another part that should say Gary O'Neill is doing a fantastic job at Wolves, which he also did at Bournemouth last season. The guy is really clued up. He was on Monday Night Football with Jamie Carragher analyzing Spurs' game, and I actually, when I watched that program, I said, "Oh my God, this gentleman is looking for holes to pick it." But back to your point about Spurs and how they played. So the basis of Ange Postecoglou's philosophy, so to speak, is his two fullbacks invert into midfield, and they don't just invert into midfield and sit next to the defensive midfielder. They invert in such a way that one of them can stay with the guy, but the other person can probe inside more, or they switch probing. And when he had Udogi was literally in your box. Emerson Royale is not that player. But even if Emerson Royale was to become that player, he needs to have games. What preseason was really good at was we saw um, both units, the first team and the second team, playing very well in preseason. The reason you saw this happening was because he was given an equal amount of time. Remember, 45 minutes, 45 minutes. So there was an equal thing. But as the season goes on, it's like what's the word I'd say? It's like compound interest. The players who are playing are compounding experience and match fitness, and the ones who aren't are losing out. So the gap begins to widen in terms of how match ready a player is. This is my opinion. And I felt Dyer, Hoiberg, Davies, Emerson Royale, Giovanni Lo Celso, they are not match ready. That's not saying they are not match fit. So the very thing that Tottenham fans are complaining about, which was how come we couldn't see out those games, the players who were on the pitch are the ones who usually come out to help us see out these games. So you see, it's the irony of the situation. Now they are thrust with being the starters. Who are you going to bring to replace them? That's the problem. So it was the same thing. Andrew always did the same thing around 65, 75 minutes. He'll bring on one or two. Then by 80 something, he'll bring on another three. And these are these same guys who come. And what do they do when they come on? They keep possession and we win. But now in this situation, in this scenario, he can't do the same thing. He's now really stretched with his squad. And you can blame it on recruitment, you can blame it on anyone else. But if you looked at that bench, you had Jamie Donnelly, you had Ashley Phillips, you had Velise, you had what's the other Dorrington, the other young
Yeah.
man. And you know, all due respect, you can't throw those boys to the wolves. Pardon the pun. And it was just not a
I thought that
situation
was
where
pun
and
intended, but hey, there you
Spurs,
go.
no pun intended. But but then for me, like I told you at the start of the game, we were all like, we're all chatting on the groups and everything, and I said it. I said I don't fancy that midfield. And my huge thing on football has always been the same thing. If your midfield is not up to scratch, for me, I think you've already conceded an advantage to your opposition. And once I saw Bisuma, Sar, and Hoiberg, I felt these three guys are very they are similar in the sense that none of them is ultra creative. I just wanted one creative there. Madison isn't there. I understand that. I felt Lo Celso was the next best thing. Like you said, we don't know what he sees in training. And Bentancur isn't fully match fit and match ready. But one of them I felt could have turned the tide if he had played with the other two. However, It didn't pan out. And with that, if we are in your box pressing you and holding possession like we do, Dyer and Davis will not have a problem. Defenders don't have any problem when you're marking. But check this out in two ways. Tottenham have really, the things have gone wrong. One, we didn't have the midfield, and the defenders that we got who are really decent, none of them were playing anyway. So it's like I said, it's that catch 22. We really got the wrong end of injuries and suspensions at the wrong time. However, these players have played. They've looked at their performances. I'm looking at the plus points here. Davies and Dyer have played. People have insulted them online, insulted their families, told them to get rid. But these guys are going, next game, I'm going to be better. Because Ange didn't castigate them. Ange has come out and Ange has really praised them. That, man, for guys who haven't played, you know, 8, 9 games, they played so well. I'm like, this guy to me, he's a brilliant motivator. I don't know anyone seeing what he's playing long term chess here. And these players, come the Villa game, if they're the ones starting, you will see a totally different performance against Villa. I'm really sure of that.
So is it a case of bitter dose of realism that's been done on us, that has been dumped on us by a sort of set of circumstances that are beyond your control, a mix of injuries, suspensions, and long-term absences? Because and of course that meant in the key areas of the team, and sometimes for a lot of teams, you hardly ever get this sort of injuries in one go. We got it in one hit, like in one match. You kind of lost five players of five key players in one match. I've never seen that sort of thing before in my whole life. Granted, okay, Romero 3-match suspension. Okay, that's we can't do anything. But that's Van der Ven. We don't know when he's going to be back because of his hamstring. Madison again out through injury as well. Key player for us. And Udogie, okay, fine, 1-match suspension. Hopefully he's back next. I think he's back against Villa, right? And he was also injured as well. So he served his one-match suspension against Wolves, didn't he? So he was out because of the injury as well.
Yeah.
So that made it a good thing. He got called up for the Italian squad, but he had to withdraw because of the injury as well. So that means for us, we have quite a lot of people out to injure. Again, like I said, it's a squad game, so we need to have either use the resources we have at our disposal in a way that achieves what we're looking for, i.e. getting us right up there, not losing matches, maintaining the philosophy of the team, attacking football, and retaining possession, and constantly putting our foot on the opponent's throats, and generally being a nuisance in their own half, for most matches. Right now, do you think this is a time to give the kids who look promising a chance, or is the time is not right yet? Because Ange has a history of working with the youth. I'm not sure. Is this a time for people like Phillips to step up? A time for people like Belize? A time for people like you said, Dorrington, or what's the other guy's name? That's name starts with a D.
Jamie
What's his
Donnelly.
name now? Remind me.
Jamie Donnelly.
Donnelly, exactly. Is it the time to sort of give them a go, or give them a run out in the team? What do you think?
Right. For me, I had this thing about Eric Dyer, even watching him in preseason, generally watching him in football generally. Um, if Eric Dyer plays next to a pacey defender who knows what he's doing in a back four or a back three, Eric Dyer is perfect. Or he makes less mistakes, or he turns over possession less. So he needs a pacey person. So my mindset has always been that, I had a feeling Romero would get red cards. I had a feeling Romero would get suspended. I didn't account on Van der Ven getting injured. Now, if Dyer had played alongside Van der Ven, I don't think Spurs would have had any problem. I don't think they would have, because Dyer has the quality to pass, come out of the back and pass better. Um, and he doesn't have to worry about being outpaced or anything else. So with that being said, I feel that Ashley Phillips is pacey. Ashley Phillips has a strong build as well. young man, but he's played grown man football in the championship. So I feel my whole thing was, yeah, I would give Ash Phillips a chance next to Dyer. I would have played Davies as my left back because Davies knows how to invert, better than Emerson does. Those are my thoughts, and I think Ange is probably mulling over those same things now. That should I just return the status quo, take Emerson out the line, put Dyer back in, and put Davies back on that left, and then Jamie Donnelly is an interesting character. Jamie Donnelly has always been a striker for Spurs in his junior years. But then he has the hurricane bug, so to speak. He's a striker that kept coming deep. And all of a sudden he realized that this guy can actually create. So somewhere along the line, he's created his own attacking midfield role, sort of like a Madison kind of understudy. He's become that. He's that guy. He's coming backwards. He's going to the wings. He's doing it. So he's Hurricane, but with a left foot instead of a right as his predominant foot. And awkward looking player when he plays, but he's very effective and very good. I think this year will just be an understudy year for him and watching Madison and then probably loaned out next year. So I don't think he will feature as much. But Dorrington as well is interesting because I was surprised that Dorrington was on the bench because he played I think the last on the 21 match before this game. Actually, Phillips didn't play so well. Like, yeah, Phillips is in the squad. But it would be very interesting if Ange brought them on. I don't think those young men will let us down. I think they would surprise many, and it would help with the squad because I think we really missed a doggy in midfield. Like what we were doing in midfield was we're not allowing people come out. So if people want to come out wide, we'll deny you the ball in the center. In the game against Wolves, we couldn't deny them the ball in the center, and they were still going wide as well. You have to pick one of your poisons, and unfortunately, because of our lack of depth, as they said. But even if we had the depth, like I said, if you don't play, how can you be effective? The greatest player, if you put Messi on the bench for 10 games, I'm not saying Messi will not light it up, but it wouldn't be to the same level of if he had 10 straight games as well. So, yeah, a lot of things. And, we discussed off air, Bentancur has gone off with Uruguay for this international break. So, hopefully, Bielsa plays him in a couple of games. He gets match fitness, match readiness as well. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I look forward to the Villa game.
Right. So this is Common Spurs TV. We'd love to hear from you, your comments as to what you think about what Juma and I have said about the squad depth and how Ange has used the players who haven't really featured a lot this season. Is this the time to give the youth a chance, or stick with the current squad and hope for the best? Yeah, it's interesting. Would love to hear from you and your thoughts on that as well. Now, moving on to the next match. Okay, we have a series of matches that look, or a fixture list looks really tough, if you like, on the face of it, because we've got, I think, next few matches we've got Man City. So we've got Villa first, and I've got Man City, and then we have West Ham. Now none of those matches on the face of it are going to be easy. Of course, people are going to make all sorts of predictions as to what the outcome will be, what they expect things to, how they expect things to turn out. I mean, as you know, I'm as optimistic as ever, so my optimism hasn't been dampened in any way, shape, or form. I just felt that the Chelsea match was the classic case of Murphy's law. If anything could go wrong, it did. And Wolves' unfortunate loss, I don't think we did that well. Maybe a draw might have been a fair result overall, but I thought it was still good value for the points in that match. But hey, he went against us. But yeah, to look forward to the Villa match. Now, given the fact that we probably have Udogie back in that match, and hopefully, I don't know, it gives us a few more options on that side of the pitch. And hopefully, I mean, by the time Bentancur comes back from the international break, and Lo Celso as well, they would have had a bit more match time and maybe sort of build on their fitness. Where do you see the team shaping up? I mean, for those two matches, do you think we stand a chance, or is it a case of three losses on the trot or more when it comes to what you reckon?
Yeah, well, we. I'll say what all my my West Ham friends always say to me at the start of every season. They just want to finish above Spurs. That's what the West Ham fans I know tell me. So I will say the same thing back, that we just want to beat West Ham. That's all. But in reality, I think we have a shot against. No, actually, we have a shot of coming away from all three games unbeaten. And it may sound like I'm drinking from the fountain of Optimus Primus here, but it's
This
it's
is
a situation.
it.
It's a situation where Aston Villa are very confident. They're super confident. Nobody's giving us a chance to beat them, and sometimes overconfidence can play into your hands as well. And then the players who have played the game against Wolves, Brian Johnson came out and said, if we had attacked Wolves more, we would have won that game. But we sort of lulled ourselves into a comfort zone. I felt the lineup wasn't what it was meant to be. I think Andrew will correct that in the next game. The game against City, my goodness, if Chelsea did anything for anybody, Chelsea has put a dampener on City. City are open for the first time in years. Everybody has talked about how Pep Guardiola has bolstered the squad, he sold players, but for the first time, I'm not saying we're seeing a chink in the armor. City are who they are. Don't no disrespect to City. City are a great side, but for the first time, people are touching City, not in a way that we haven't seen before. So when you observe that, it's just something else. It's City conceding 4 goals against a team in London. Oh my God. So I think we have a chance. And with West Ham as well, the kind of football West Ham play, we played them in preseason, albeit it was preseason. But you could see that our football could work against them because Moyes still played how he wanted to play. He didn't have the lineup. There was no Bowen, there was no Antonio or whatever. But you could see what he was trying to play. I think we could take them out easily, and once again, no disrespect, which also means no respect. Sometimes people say, but yeah, West Ham game, the Man City game. I I just don't see us getting negatives in all three games. And even if we did, here's a key point. Even if we did, I just think it's more data to learn from. And someone says, how can he keep our friend who will not be named, kept saying, what is he learning for an old man, a grown man that has been coaching? What's he learning? And I said, no, but you come into a league, you have to learn. Everybody has been humbled by the Premier League. Pep Guardiola has been humbled. The Premier League is a learning curve, and I think I never term anything a failure. I think I term everything as learning, especially if it's your first season coaching a new side in a new country. I think it's a lot of learning. The aim for Ange Postecoglou was to win as many games as possible, and at the same time implement his style, his methodology, his philosophy on the team, and that's happening. That's an ongoing, process. The word process has been used so many times. Trust the process and trust the journey, but it really is. It's an overused cliche, so to speak, in football terms now or sporting terms. What is true? We are learning. We are growing, and Pep Guardiola had the first season where he won absolutely nothing in England. No league, no cups. And all it was he was playing. He and nobody questioned him. And this is the thing. I told you there's a bit of there's a bit of a thing against Ange because he's foreign. He won the league in Scotland and all that stuff. So it's sort of like a negative kind of bias, like, oh yeah, he's not. But they gave Pep Guardiola a pass. They gave Jurgen Klopp a pass. Jurgen Klopp did not win a trophy for Spurs' life around. And Spurs will put a trophy in the cabinet first year. Anybody who believed that, I have a couple of bridges in Lagos to sell you as well. That yeah, we could just change it overnight. He can't. He can't. He can't. He's just working with what he's working with at the moment. And for me, I just look at it that, yeah, it's going to take time. Even the losses, if they come or when they come, they are just data points for this man. This guy learns faster than any other manager I think we've ever had.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we have to brace ourselves for continuation of Angeball. Um, he's not going to change his style. He's not going to compromise his style. Some people say that because he's a what you might call a one-dimensional manager, it's easy to plan your defense or how you play against him, because you know that's how he's going to play. You can't. I mean, it means that look, if you execute your plan properly, it means potentially that you would outsmart him. How do you feel about that?
No, for me, I look at it this way. I'll leave you this one. This is a saying, and I'm probably paraphrasing the saying. It says, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable man adapts the world to himself. All progress comes from the unreasonable man." So that's what Ange is right now. He is not going to conform to what the norm is, or he should stop this, he should go low block, oh, he should not do this. How can you invert two fullbacks? It worked. So he's the unreasonable man. He's going to bend the league. I love the word he used in the press conference, which was, you know, in order to disrupt the hierarchy, you have to do something that they're not doing. And that's what I am. I'm here to disrupt the hierarchy. I may not have the same amount of money. I may not have the same type of players, but I will disrupt this hierarchy. That's what I've always done, and that's what I will always do.
Fantastic.
And just for ended, I a lot of Celtic fans, the ones I know, is texting me telling, "Welcome to Angeball," because this is what's going to happen. You guys are going to doubt. You're going to start doubting. We doubted as well. We got to point. We lost some games. We drew some. What's going on? But all in all, we miss him. You know, to see Celtic fans say, "We miss this guy. We really miss this guy." And if you guys pull the trigger too early and say, "Oh, he's not good enough," and all that stuff, but he will prove you wrong in the end. So, you know.
So what do you say to people who say that this is not
Ange.
St. Mirren and this is not Rangers or Aberdeen they're playing against? You're playing against West Ham.
You can turn you can turn any team into St. Mirren. Under Angeball can turn the opposition into St. Mirren. It just depends on if it clicks or if it doesn't click or how it is. But that's eventually what that man is trying to do. He's going to turn all those teams against us into St. Mirren and Hibernian and all these, and
And
much respect to
all
those clubs.
disrespect to those teams, right? Also, all respect to those teams.
all respect to those teams. You know, it's what it is in Scotland. But that's exactly what he's going to do. That is his goal, and he has the courage to do it. And I think the type of football he's playing is courageous, and that's the word, courage. And it's a huge word we don't really hear bandied about in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He's playing with courage, but that's what Tottenham's motto is. That's what Bill Nicholson, set the club up to be, is courageous. Even in defeat, you're still giving it a go. How amazing is that? You fall on your sword, but you're holding that sword, as opposed to abandoning your sword and running and getting, stabbed in the back. Spurs,
Hmm.
we fight to win. Even if we lose, we die fighting.
Fantastic note to end this segment. Thank you so much, Chuma, for joining us. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. And in the meantime, we say, come on, ye Spurs.
Come on, ye Spurs. Lovely.